G'day guys, prospectors, detectorists, anyone else? I'm going to go on about the gold test target giveaway. And I've had a lot of correspondence via email, messaging on the actual video for YouTube as well. And at the end of the day, it's very, very difficult to give something away to a subscriber and keep it fair. Because what if I say something, and because of all the different time zones, I might say it during waking hours, basically through China, all the way down through Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia, all those countries, Papua New Guinea, and through Australia, right? And the other side of the world's asleep. It's not fair, is it? So I thought about it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to have 3 questions, okay? And this will be the first question. And I'm going to spread it out because that allows people in different time zones to see the video. And if I do it roughly around about the same time, they'll know when to get on to the third question, because that's the popper. That's the one. You get that one, you got the other 2, you win, okay? Now, I'm also going to extend the giveaways, okay? I've got some new things being made, and one is an absolute ripper. Anyone who is a coin detectorist or gold detectorist or anybody doing anything in communications will love this. This is going to be the bee's knees. It's going to be really good. But I'm not going to do that yet. I'm not going to give any heads up to what it is. And there's probably another 2, but then there'll probably be 3. I've got a lot of stuff on the go. It's a lot of stuff happening everywhere. But okay, in one of my videos, and only one of my videos, I actually had to go through my videos and have a look to see if there was any repeats. I don't know if anyone's got software out there can go and scroll through the videos and find things. I don't know. But in the video, the first question is, what's the name of the video that I've put up? In the video, I say this, quotation marks, tap, tap, tap. That's the first one. That's the question. What video do I say tap, tap, tap? Very clear, very distinct. There's no other videos with it. So if you have a hunt around and you find that, that is your first question to answer. So yeah, keep it to yourself. Don't tell anybody. Don't make it too easy. don't let the cat out of the bag. So yeah, that's that. Tap, tap, tap will be the first one. But just keep it to yourself. And I'll probably put out a video every 2 days. So here in Australia, today is Sunday, and at the moment, what's the time? Near about 5:45 in the afternoon, evening. So that is the time. So I'm going to try and aim for the same time. So the next video will come out on Tuesday, and this should allow enough people to get the gist of what's going on. So on Tuesday, I'll ask another question about something I have said in one of my videos. Then after that, then Thursday, Australia, because in the US it's a day behind. Not really, but it is, right? It's Saturday in the US. It's Sunday here. Yeah, but that's everyone should know that. Some people don't, believe it or not. I found that. They don't realise. I think the earth is flat as well. I won't go into that. Okay, So that'll be the crux of the matter. So the first video says tap, tap, tap in the video. So find it, keep it to yourself. And 2 days time from now, out comes the next one. And then 2 days after that, the next one. And whoever answers it, I've got to do it this way. I've got to say the first person who gets it gets the gold, okay? So you've got to be subscribed and you've got to get the 3 questions right. You can just, on the last one, just put it in there. I'll go through, look at the comments, just put a straight up comment, and the first one who gets it, okay? That's how I'm going to do it. Anyway, been having a bit of a think about doing a lot of testing on hot ground. We found some good hot ground here in Ballarat, and it's okay, it works. I can make it hotter, I can add to it, I can do all sorts. But what I've got Dave to do, Dave thought this was a good idea too. Dave has, we've both got miners right, so we're allowed to do this. We have gone round to Crown Land on the hot goldfields and taken a particular amount of hot ground from the various goldfields. So there are goldfields that are very different from each other. So we've got some real hot stuff from Maryborough. We've got some hot stuff from Talbot, which is much the same as Maryborough actually. And we got some other really hot stuff from Denali. And yeah, I've got huge tubs of it. So I'm going to be making up stacks that I can use. And what I'm going to do is put a bit of PVC tube through and just move a target in and out. And then I'll be able to do a lot of hot ground testing. Because what I did find on the ironstone I have that stuff that came from Great Western. I think it came from Great Western. Pretty sure it did. It's a long time ago I got it. I had it in a tub about so round, and when I bounce it on the coil, I can actually, in most cases, ground balance that out. But what I did then, I actually tipped it out into a flat tray, and I tried to ground balance it. No way known. If you've got the covering the whole face of the coil, it's too hot. It will not ground balance out in a million years. But that reminds me that I was given that because people were trying to detect on that material and get gold from in between those ironstone pebbles. And I can tell you what I actually did. It works really good on salt lakes as well. But I got this is when we all had old detectors. I had an old SD 2000. And people go, oh, that's a really old detector. You know, it's actually a very good detector. In some cases, that detector works better than newer detectors, depending what you're using it for, but it can be better. But what I did with the SD 2000, it has that long channel and it has the small channel, and they both come through on different audio channels, and whichever one's got the louder signal, it basically flips, and only that one comes out of the audio. The other one's just cut off. So, you know, we had situations with those detectors that we used to detect with a fairly big coil, and we used to get signals that did this. It would be making the audio on the long pulse come up, and then under certain circumstances, as you went over the target, it would come up on this one. So you'd have this low, high, low, high, low, high. And it used to make this warbling sound, like whoop, 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 sort of thing. And anyway, what happened is that 9 times out of 10, that was a gold nugget. And what it indicated, it was a really large lump, and I'm talking in the ounces at depth, but not so deep that it didn't trigger the small pulse channel. So it triggered the large pulse channel and the small, but the slight movement of going over the target, maybe just up and down the coil a little bit, it made it do this. So it didn't know what to select. It might have been, you know, not enough hysteresis in the channel swapping. So however it worked though, we got that audio and we knew what it was. But what I did with that, I actually changed the time base in the detector. Like I changed the actual crystal oscillator frequency, and I think I ran it. What was it? It was when they first came out, they were about 1.8 megahertz and 2 megahertz or something around there. And I actually modified the detector so it would clock the logic at a time base of, I think it was either 6 or 8 megahertz, can't remember, a long time ago, but I really cranked it up. And I set it up in a way that it only relied on the audio from channel 1, and that's that big long pulse. But the big long pulse, by doing what I did to the logic, the switching logic, it did this. Whoop, it came in, right? And because all the receive wait times for the, you can do that by changing a 65 picofarad or 68 picofarad capacitor as well. But anyway, not going to go into that. You can alter the pulse so it's very, very narrow. And when you have your wait states after these long pulses, well, because it's all tied together, it's a chain. So the big pulse comes in, the off time before the receiver comes in, right? And then the receiver's on quicker, and it's because it's so long anyway, it doesn't really bring it in that close. It's going to start amplifying the ground. But by doing that, we could tune out the ironstone. We could tune it out and, ground balance it so it wasn't there. And because we bought the pulses and picked up the small gold, so everyone's going over this stuff at Great Western, they can't detect it. And I did this detector, and a lot of gold came out the ground for a couple of people. But anyway, it's another story. So in the garage at the moment, I have huge big tubs of hot ground. So what I'm going to do is make them into stacks, and then just put test targets through tubing. Now, a lot of people argue, oh, you disturb the ground. Yeah. What do you think nature does? Right? Over how many years? Over 1 million years. I think it's been tossed and turned and whatever. And you have people say, oh, but it's you put air in it. Yep, righto. Do you know how ferrites work? Do you know anything about powdered iron cores? You don't need to worry about it. It's not, what's the word I'm looking for? Like homogeneous, all like that. It doesn't work that way. Even the silica in as well causes air gap, because silica is, what's the dielectric constant of silica? Who cares? It's irrelevant. As long as you've got the main matrix of minerals in the soil, it's going to affect how the detector ground balances. That's all you need to know. I don't care if it goes down that far or that far, or what, as long as it's a constant, right? So it's going to be that, and I stir it up with a stick and it moves like that or like that. It's still a constant for everything I'm testing it. You can't go to a gold field. I was going to say as examples, you can't go to a gold field and say, oh, the ground's undisturbed there, right? And that's going to detect a certain way. And you go to a different gold field and you say, oh, the ground's, not disturbed there. But guess what? It's totally different ground. It's nothing the same about it. So even if you mix it all up, it's just the same ground, but different, a little bit different. So don't listen to people who carry on with pulse induction detectors especially, saying, oh, you do this and you do that and you put voids in it. Well, it bloody makes no difference. It'd probably make, I put a plastic tube through volume of that much dirt, right? Little tiny tube like that. It's going to be freaking 0.0001% effect. I could get the tube, pull it out, let all the dirt cave in, and it'll still measure exactly the same. It's not going to change. So don't listen to all these old wives' stories about, oh, it's this and that and whatever else. It's just not there. And the other one that really irks me off too, when people in a lot of cases say, oh, it's got a halo. Oh, the signal was greater because it was a halo effect. Yeah, right. Fantastic. Oxides are not going to increase the signal. They probably decrease it, if anything. And the other one too, you see people who dig great big holes, and they pull out a gram, and they're going, oh, that went so deep. It just fell out the sidewall, you just didn't dig in the right spot. There's all these funny things I see over there. You know damn well that it's impossible for X detector to get something with whatever coil at that depth when it's that small, It falls out the wall. It really does. People just don't realise. It may be in the sidewall and they're digging down and they can't get their coil in the hole. They can't, work out where it is. And they keep digging and digging. And then they go to widen the hole out and they knock the side of it and the bloody nugget falls in the bottom. And they, eventually find it. And they go, oh, look at that. That was 2 feet deep. Wow. It's only crazy. It doesn't work that way, right? It just does not. You could get the same gold that they found. You put it back in the hole, cover it up and say, go and find it. It won't make a sound. It won't be there because there's just too many myths and old wives' tales in metal detecting. People come up with their own idea. They never prove it scientifically. They just say it. And then it gets parroted around. And it's just wrong. But anyway, that's me going off on a tangent again. So, like I say, with doing this for so long, I've got 50 billion stories. Maybe more. Righto. Okay. Now, what I was going to say. Okay, I've got some technology things coming out. I have... there's going to be a doozy. And I don't want anyone to think this is going to cause a wedge in the market to any existing coil manufacturer, because it's not. It's not doing what they do, but it sort of is. And the reason why I embarked on this was because of that Algoforce EL1500 detector. Minelabs, as far as I know, in the best of my knowledge, have cut out manufacturing GPX 5000s now, so you're not going to be able to get GPX 5000s. People are nearly killing each other trying to get GPX 4500s. They're dried up everywhere. I have people ringing me up, where can I get one? Where can I get one? Because they are probably one of the best detectors to do up to make into a good deep gold machine. And if you're not going to use the other mode, just get a GP Extreme or 3000 or whatever. They come up the same. Unless you want to use, enhanced mode, or you want to use fine gold for 5000, or you want to use all the other little modes. But, in all these detectors, right, if you can use it, and this is why it was critical when we did these detectors to do the front end gain, because you can get rid of the saturation of the heavy mineralized soils and still detect in normal mode. Normal mode, right? Normal timings, just the big long one and the 3 shorter ones, right? That is for decent sized gold. It even picks up small stuff. It can do quite easily. I've proved it many a time. But it goes deep, and as long as it's not, the ground isn't just completely smashing the input stage of the detector, where the electronics are, it's just the signal from the ground is not going up so high that there's nowhere for the other electronic signals to go. It's all like bottomed or topped out. It's like going whack, whack. There's no more amplification, right? It's like turning your hi-fi flat out. It starts clipping and you can't get any more volume. It's just flat out. The ground does the same thing to detectors. So if you can tame the ground response and leave a little bit of headroom there, you don't have to leave much, just a little bit by turning it down, right? So then the gold goes, whoop. And the way these things work, they're so damn sensitive. It gives a really good signal, gives good output. So you won't miss it when you go over a gold target. It's not going to be like from, you're on, just pure pipe clay, which is really benign, and then have this massive hump of a signal. You've got to allow and try and bring that ground noise down. These newer detectors try and do all that in the digital domain, and analog can do it as well. Analog, in some cases, analog is better, right? It is better for signal recovery. Digital allows you to manipulate the signal very much like putting up brick walls. Like you want something to come along and then it goes crunch. To do something like that in analog, it's like a lot of filter stages, and it's more of a curve down like so. It's very hard to brick wall it. You can do, but God, you're going to use a lot of components. But yeah, digital has its ways and means. It's got advantages in some aspects of signal recovery, but it's not a be-all, end-all, believe me, it's not. Some of the analog stuff out there in the right circumstances beats the digital stuff, right? But one detector that really does impress me for sensitivity, but it's not a PI, it's that bloody gold monster. My God, that thing's sensitive. Where'd I put them? Here. Here's the test targets that were found with Mine Labs gold monster. I don't know if I can stop the light shining on that so you can see it. Maybe if I take it out of this, you'll be able to see it better, but it's still in plastic, so you still might be able to see it. Anyway, there we go, something like that. So everything's going to reflect. But yeah, you might get an idea. I'll wiggle it around a bit anyway. Each one of these bits that was picked up with the gold monster, it's worked out that it was all selected that the smallest one is half the size of the next one. So it actually doubles inside from small to big, whichever way around it is. I can't really see it because I'm not looking at the front of it. So you can see that. But anyway, that's going to a lucky subscriber anyway. After I do that, just remember, tap, 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 and write it down for the to get that. I don't care where you are in the world. You get it, you get it. I'll post it, I don't care. Yeah, so that's that. What else was there? There was something else I was going to say too. But it actually escapes me. Feedback on the gold monster. You probably might have read some feedback below the video. That little upgrade, yeah, fixes it up. They just lose their chirp. They become very stable. So, I won't go into. I'm not going to go into detail on that. I was going to say it improves it, but I suppose cleaning your house gutters improves your house too. So, same thing. I don't know. I don't know how to put that into words, really. I'm just going to come up with something abstract and weird. Because if I say anything, it sounds like MindLab didn't do something, but it's not the case. It's not the case at all. I just do little things, okay? Just leave it at that. I don't want to upset the multi-million-dollar company by saying they did something or they didn't do something. It's not the case at all. Anyway, well, I was saying about the coil. That's what I was going on about. The coil. Okay. You know how well all these VLF detectors work. And even at AlgoForce E1500. Put a small coil on it, it works really good. But the trouble with pulse induction detectors is the amount of wire that is required to make the right inductance coil. And when you think about it, right, you're very limited to the size of coil you can make. You could possibly get down to, I don't know. Look, I've got 8-inch ones. They're fine. They work fine, right? But when you start getting down lower, things, it starts having a lot of interwinding capacitance. And if you try and reduce that by spacing each wire to wire, the coil gets big. So you're starting to not get what you're aiming for. So you're thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? Scratch of the head. I've got a certain amount of wire. I have to have a rough particular amount of resistance overall. Don't want to, try and have something like 0.1 of an ohm or something like that. The poor old detector will probably blow the input stage up or go into coil overload and shutdown. One or the other, depending what model. So, and you don't want to put thin wire in there because then you've got DC, resistance. You can't energize the thing quick enough. You've got losses in the return signal from the coil. As it gets a target signal into it, it's resistively lossy. It's going to lose signal output to your detector. So you sit there and you scratch your head and you go, what am I going to do? How can I make a 3-inch coil for a pulse induction detector? There you go. You don't want to see my face through that, but something like that. I don't know. There you go. How about a coil that big? How about a 2-inch coil? How about a 5-inch coil, right? And I mean really, really super sensitive, where I've looked after every aspect of it. You can do. I'll tell you something what some people might do. Right? Okay. Yeah, coil's pretty flat like so, and the winding's fairly flat inside the coil. You can make these flat wound coils, right? But a flat wound coil is a compromise coil, right? Because it has extended um, windings towards the middle, which those windings are more sensitive to very tiny gold close to it, right? Fair enough, it'll pick that up. Whereas it's a bit bigger, it may not. But the thing is, when it's like a normal coil, like the windings are as, like my fat as my fingers. Like the windings are height and width of my finger that way and that way. Square winding, we call it. Or it could be a round one, doesn't make any difference. But that is the most efficient coil, and it will give you the maximum sensitivity for the amount of depth that it's capable of giving when it's like so, right? There are variances to what I'm going to say. This is, I know people who will disagree with me. I know they will, because you've got to understand where I'm coming from. I'm going to try and put this simply. Okay, there are people that I respect, and they will say, "Oh, the best coil is something, an elliptical or something like that," right? And I go, "Yeah, I understand. But what happens when you get around winding and you start squashing it in? It starts cancelling itself. It starts cancelling its own magnetic field, right? Look up any textbook on this. It cancels its own magnetic field. A round coil is the most efficient, right? Okay, you say, okay, we've got an elliptical coil, right? Elliptical coil. Some people are going to go nuts at me saying this, but I'm just going to say it because it's bloody true. Okay, but what you got here is you've got the windings here very close, right? And you're not going to get much depth out the front of the coil, but it's going to be bloody sensitive to small gold that goes near it, right? You can do this yourself. You can get a bloody winding and make it like so, and then you bring it back here and it won't hear it. So you're sort of compromising depth here, right, for sensitivity. But back here, you won't hear it, or it's a much diminished signal because the field from here is not hitting every part of a nice round coil equally, and that's how you get the maximum signal from the target. It's got to be in the middle of the coil. But a compromise is you squash it like that, even like that, whatever, and here, just in this little area here, it's going to become very sensitive. But there's no depth advantage, right? It will pick up surface gold, close, but you're going to lose depth. And I don't care what anyone says, you will, because it's just physics. It's the reality of how magnetic fields work. You can't get a coil and do that, like that or something, and say, oh, it's going to work really efficiently. It's not. It's not efficient. This is a big loss area here. You got magnetic cancellation all around on every part of it. It's cancelling itself, right? Do it with a coil. Get a loose coil, right? Wrap some masking tape around the coil, around the winding. Cut the cord off an old coil, right? Make it out of, just use tin plated copper wire, 1 millimeter roughly, square. So it works out around about the right sort of characteristics for a detector coil. Wrap it up with some masking tape, and then paint some black, guitar shielding stuff, the cavity shielding material on it. So you're generating a Faraday shield. Hook that to your outside braid. One wire of the coil to that and the outside braid. The inner wire goes to the upper part of the coil wire. Where it comes around. So you got, basically the braid goes to the shield. That's all you got to remember when you make a coil. And do your experiments. Get targets. Set up something which is you can judge the level. Have a perfectly round coil, right? And try different size targets and see how far you get them, okay? So you might get them certain things and you might be able to peak something up here. It's a law of diminishing returns with bigger and bigger objects on a small coil anyway. But then mark all this down, okay? Small targets, big targets, mark down how high you can get it, okay? Now, squash that coil into an elliptical shape, right? And do the same experiment. I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen. You'll find out. And the best way to find out, and so it doesn't, it's not an old wives' tale that's going to get perpetuated for eternity and said by everyone like parrots, do it yourself. So you know damn well that it's different, right? Then you can show people. You can say, oh, look at this. Oh, yeah, it's really sensitive. Well, I'm not going to tell you. But anyway, do it. Just do it. It's really easy to do. Make your own coils up. It's freaking not rocket science. It is a little bit, but you can do it. Just use thick-walled PVC. You can use PVC. There are better dielectrics than PVC out there. You can get polyethylene or, something like that. But you don't need to. Oven wire works really good. The high temperature oven wire. The stuff they wire in the back of electric ovens works fine. And make sure it's multi-strand, 0.2 of a millimeter stranding, and enough strands to give you about 1 millimeter square in the actual wind. Doesn't have to be exact. You can have more or less within reason. And then do your experiments, You buy the black shielding paint, just a carbon paint. You can get it on eBay or Amazon or anywhere, or go to a guitar shop. They probably sell it. You can go to more exotic stuff and make your own. You can go and buy the commercial stuff if you want. It's damn expensive. Just buy a little tub of black carbon paint. Just remember, even if you want to make your own, make sure it's water-based. If it's you're using an oil or a polymer type paint-based material, if you're trying to do your own carbon, right, it'll separate each granule. It'll isolate it. So it'll never turn into a shield. It'll just be insulated. So you want water-based paint because the water evaporates and it all sticks together. Okay, that's another trick. So, yeah, that's my thing on coils. Anyway, I'm not going to make elliptical coils. I'm going to make little round ones. Because if you want small gold, imagine a pulse induction detector with a 3 or 4 inch coil, okay? It's going to absolutely hammer into the ground. And a lot of people think, oh, okay, I can do that. But what I'll do, I'll wind it upwards. So I make a big tower stack coil. So you got this big, something that looks like a soup can on the end of your stick, right? But what happens, right? All the windings here, they're all away from your target, right? And you're not going to get maximum energy from that coil into your little tiny target. All this here is probably about, 70% of it will be wasted, right? Because it's not close proximity. It will not couple properly. You want to get your winding down, so it's that by that, a square winding, equal across and equal down. So basically the depth of it is the same as across it. Height and across it is exactly the same. Within reason, but that's how you get the strongest field. If you want to try and optimize it a little bit to lean it one way, you can do that flat winding technique. If you don't want little tiny things, like if you want to miss bird shot and stuff like that, how about then do it the other way. So you make the height of the coil, say, twice as high as what you normally would, and the diameter comes out a little bit, right, on the inner part of the winding. And by doing that, you can make a coil that's really good on deep stuff, but you're talking larger. And by altering the winding, you can start getting rid of things like bird shot, particular tiny size bird shot, not big stuff. But it depends what you use. it's probably still going to ping a little bit as it goes under the coil, under the windings, but it's not going to be very loud in the center. You start, you're basically pulling it out a bit and adding the height. You're still going to get a benefit on the depth overall, but you're going to have less sensitivity to the very small stuff. But it's still going to, small stuff's still going to ping directly under the windings. That's the way it works. You get a 20-inch coil, you go on the ground, and you got something there like number 6 birdshot or something, and you'll hear, as the coil goes over, you hear woo, and in the middle of the coil nothing, and then you hear woo again. So you'll just know that something very, very tiny, very, very close to the surface of the ground, something normally you could just kick with your foot. If it's still there after you kick it with your foot, I'd dig it. If you kick it with your foot, it goes away. Don't worry about it. It's usually junk or lead shot. That's how I do it anyway. I probably left lots of little tiny bits of gold around the place, but no big deal. Anyway, so yeah, be prepared to see very, very tiny pulse induction coils. I don't know if I make them 2 inches or 3 inches. I'm thinking probably 5 inches is a good size, because you don't want to pick up. Some people like picking up pin heads of gold. But imagine a pinhead of gold at extreme depth and you're digging for it. It's going to be a pain. And even worse, you bring that size of the coil in, you're going to be picking up pin tips of gold. And it's not worth anything. So you've got to keep it real. You've got to say, well, gold's worth this. If I can dig this many little tiny bits in an hour, I'm on this pay rate sort of thing. But if you just, picking up, freaking 20 cents worth of gold, or, whatever you want to call it, a quarter, near enough, a quarter worth of gold or something, quarter dollar. It's just not worth it. I've always said that. I've always gone looking for big gold. One big, deep nugget, right, will probably make up for months and months and months of hunting around, picking up little piddly bits of gold near the surface, right? You're picking up, everyone's going, oh yes, like, 0.1 of a gram and 0.2 of a gram and whatever else. But imagine if you just said, look, I'm just going, no, I'm not going to say it, but I know there was someone who I knew quite well, and that's what they did. They just used big coil. They went out. He said this, I don't care if I only get 1 nugget a year and do it full time, right? Well, that fellow, this is going back a while, found over $1 million of gold. And I've seen the pictures to prove it. I've seen some of the gold too, but over $1 million of gold just looking for big nuggets. And he wouldn't get gold every day. He wouldn't get gold every week. He might get a bit of gold once a month, but it wasn't small. It was all big, It's imagine, you go along and you get something and you go, oh, okay, there's a 5 ounce nugget. I've dug up a 5 ounce rather than, 0.5 of a gram. You work out the cost benefit getting the big one and how many of those little tiny ones you need to get that. But then again, with the newer machines, these new machines coming out, and that's another thing I was going to say about new machines, be wary of Fisher gold bugs kicking around, right? There's heaps of fakes out there. Buy it through an affiliated dealership. Be careful. They look exactly the same. I know someone who bought one, and they said it didn't work properly. I opened it up and I nearly fell off my chair. It looked like came out of a spaghetti factory. It definitely wasn't Fisher. No way known, but damn, it looked hard to tell. Be careful. Secondhand Fisher. It was a Fisher Goldbug Pro, and that's a fairly new detector. Be careful. You just don't know what comes out of certain areas of the world. There's no shame. They just don't have no shame whatsoever, as we all know. But and another thing too, and I got told this by 2 people. I got told this by a comment on the YouTube channel. about all these, from a certain area of the world, clones of GPXs and things, right? Now, I didn't know this, but I found this out, and I got told by someone who should know that's actually true. Okay, when the country we won't mention got hold of how to make the GPX 4500, right? And they thought that, oh, beauty, here's the instructions and we're going to just crank them out, okay? Everyone has said they've had, and it's hit and miss, right? Had problems with the ground balance on hot soil, right? And I had a look at this and I said, yeah, some of them got offsets and some don't. But I found out that if you really hit it with really hot ground, it don't work properly. Then someone told me that the final setup for the ground balance, right, is a separate procedure and MindLab do it, right? So how can they do it when only MindLab can do it? That explains a lot, doesn't it? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Leave a critical part of your procedure in-house. You own it, and thus it can't be properly cloned. Even though I feel sorry for everyone buying one, and and they go, oh, it doesn't work. Look, I've had some come in and they didn't even work at all. It just refused to ground balance, totally refused. And that's these things from that country. No names, but you know which one. So that's a real problem out there with the knockoffs. So anyway, watch out for the Fisher ones. But, I'm just waiting for the others to they start making knockoff, everything else. Like I say, they don't have any shame. They just blatantly do it. So, you think you're buying a brand product and it's just looks the part. It's not the part. It hasn't got the right parts in it. It hasn't got anything in it that's right. So it just makes my mind boggle that, that this stuff happens. It's like, I don't know what it would be like if I started making Swiss Army knives or something, selling them as Swiss Army knives, and it was genuine, Swiss this, that, and the other, and I was just, lying about it. It's the same thing. It's ridiculous. It's like like when you buy stainless steel cutlery and you get your knives and forks and you go, oh, beauty, I got these cheap stainless steel made in, and after a while they start getting specks of rust all from. Stainless steel does not rust, right? So, oh, dear me. The mind boggles. It really does. I've got old stuff, from England, some stuff from Germany. It don't rust. It never rusts. Leave it outside, doesn't rust. Get this new stuff, buy a pack, oh, it's cheap, that'll be all right. Rusts. Same principle applies. It's just not quite right. Anyway, buyer beware. That being said, I think I've waffled on enough. There's a lot of stuff I'm hearing. I like to a lot of stuff I want to verify before I start doing the blah 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 parody thing about it, just in case it's to do with clones, knockoffs, things that don't work, or anything. Like at the moment, I because in Ballarat, my God, that woman who went for a run through the forest, and that's the end of her. Never heard a thing about it ever since. It's been over 2 weeks. 2 weeks? 2 weeks now, I think. 2 weeks. Just disappeared off the face of the earth. How's that, right? I would say to people, don't go detecting around that area because, who knows? Is there a nutcase out there? Did she fall down a mine shaft? The police said don't speculate, so I don't really want to speculate because everyone was speculating. But, things like that, it's just bizarre. So, don't go detecting around Ballarat, around that forest. what do they call it? I don't know. It's got some W Aboriginal sounding name. I can't remember what it's called. Wookie Wonderland or something. I don't know. I just don't know the name of it. I know where it is. It's where the pine plantation is, but yeah. So yeah, just don't know. If I go there, I'll usually take Dave with me. So, one of us will be carrying a pick. So don't mess with us. Ah, dear. Apart from that, that's probably all. There are some other stuff that I do want to talk about. I could all leave it for a later time because we're just in testing phases of a few products, and I don't want to jump the gun and say, "Oh, check this out," and then I've got to do something else and then zig on face and so forth. But some good stuff coming out. There really is some good stuff. It's applicable to all detectors, no matter what brand. Coin, gold, doesn't make any difference. You could even use it for demining. It would probably improve aspects of that too. But you got to wait for it. And I think that's probably all on my list at the moment. So, like I say, just remember on that, find the video with tap, tap, tap in it, right? I know it sounds weird, but I want something distinctive. Not tap, tap, but 3 tap, tap, tap. Yeah, and you can get these test targets. And a good way to test your detector too, because Gold Monster got each one of these genuine Gold Monster targets. So we have to say thank you to the person who supplied those. He doesn't want his name mentioned. He wants to stay very, very low key. There's a reason for that. It's because in the gold, well, do we say in the gold industry or in the hobby part of the industry or the semi-professional part of the industry? There's a lot of people get really jealous and they think they own the ground. Like it's Crown land, which means anyone can go there and do anything. But they think they own it, right? And they don't own it. You can have your little hobby patch and it's open to anybody, first in, first served. Someone else comes in, it's your tough luck. There's no legal standing, but I've heard about people getting bullied for going on someone else's area. They've been seen there and they're trying to be, bullied off. I don't think that's very good. If you want to keep the land, go and peg it, right? Put up your stakes or whatever and go and peg it. I don't even know if you put stakes up anymore. I think you just go and register it online. But measure it out and you can put your own pegs on it with your name on it and say keep off. Maybe once it's granted, you've got rights to keep people off, of course, but not beforehand. It's just the way it is. Anyway, that's probably enough waffle. If you want to know anything else, ask. You have a comment section under this video. Ask about anything you want to know. Try and keep it on topic to what I discussed in the video, because I've had people, go on the video and they start, starting asking about, what I see is in the high voltage section here, It's got nothing to do with anything. I mean, half the time I wouldn't even notice that because it's tagged on something else and it's really off topic. If you want something, if you want to know something technical, send an email, within reason, like, I'm not, Mother Teresa. I'm not going to, do everything for free and just waste all my, well, I'm not saying waste my time, but, I have to eat. And if I keep having a barrage of things coming through on emails and, very, very technical, how do I do this? I can't answer that stuff. I really can't, because I'll be there all day and, I'll be a skeleton. I won't eat and I'll die. So don't do that, please. Just simple things, yes. You want to know what an IC is or something like that. What's this IC? But don't go into, what can I replace it with? What's better? No, don't. Just ask the basic stuff if you need to know something quick. One-liner, just, can you tell me what blah, blah, blah is? Or how do I do something basic, not not paragraphs and paragraphs. It just takes up too much time because it's not just one person doing it. It can be like over a month. It could be like 100 to 150 odd emails come in about this stuff, and it just is. It's just too much sometimes. Just keep it simple. I don't mind simple, 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 but not. You want me to do a thesis on it? No, can't do. Anyway, yeah, that's my waffle for the day. That's 50 minutes of waffle, people. But anyway, 2 days time, next video is going to come out with some clue, and I'm going to repeat this process of giveaways anyway. This is just the test targets. The next one's going to be substantial, okay? It's not going to be, a few small test targets or anything like that. It's going to be substantial, I'll tell you that much. There's probably close on, well, it's going to be one's worth about $300. I know that. It's probably going to be another one about $250 worth. And I might even step it up from that. But we'll see how we go. See if I can do this other stuff, which I want to do. And when I get it right, one out of the batch, I'm going to go and, it'll be a subscriber giveaway. So I don't care. I don't care if I get up to stuff and give away $10,000, even though that's the limit in Victoria if you're going to give stuff away. $10,000 limit. Otherwise, you have to get some government department approval, which is interesting. So I hope the Tats Lotto company has government approval. Anyway, catches.